welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see important articles that appeared in our Hindu newspaper. So let's get started. First, I'll tell you important topics of the day. And after that, I'll explain each and every topic from prelims, mains and interview point of view. And at last, I will be giving you the prelims based questions as well. Please don't skip this video anywhere, guys. Please do watch until last so that you will be getting lots of insights regarding how to prepare current affairs from your UPSC point of view. First, let us see the topics of the day. First one is 22 India-bound ships on Hormuz evacuation list. So this article is talking about the ships which had been halted in the Strait of Hormuz region, and we have to go and we have to bring them back because these ships are very important for our energy security. And this topic is important from international relations from GS paper 2. And next topic is cabinet okays 33,660 crore Bhavya plan for 100 industrial parks by 2032. So this article is talking about one important plan, and this plan is focusing on development of our industrial sector in our country. And this topic is very important from economy point of view from GS paper 3. And next topic here is CCI gets rupees 1,719 crore to pay support price. So this article is talking about MSP, minimum support price, and this article is talking about CCI. So here you have to see about what is a CCI, what is Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. This topic is important from economy from GS paper 3. And next topic is coconut promotion scheme. There is one scheme which is focusing on coconut promotion in our country, and already you know that coconut is very important, and many a times there are many articles related to coconut in this newspaper. So because of this, you may expect a prelims based question, guys. So for that, this article is very important. And next topic is inclusion of breakfast in PM Poshan. So here you know about this midday meals program which had been renamed as PM Poshan, and under that scheme government is providing free cooked meals for the students who are going to this government school. But now we are going to include even this breakfast. There is a proposal of this, and this topic is important from governance. And next topic is about new GDP series charting the path ahead. So this topic is important from economy from GS paper 3. And next topic is AI powered tax governance in our country and its challenges. So we now wants to use this AI related thing so that we can decrease tax evasion. We have to increase tax complaints among the people. So for that we are focusing on AI powered tax governance, but there are certain challenges. So here this article focused on challenges. So this topic is important from governance from GS paper 2. Now let us see each and every article in different dimensions. Okay, look at the title, guys. 22 India bound ships on Hormuz evacuation list. So here this article is saying about one important keyword, that is Strait of Hormuz. So what you have to see, first one is about map. So in this map, you may get question regarding the countries which are sharing boundary with Strait of Hormuz, or you may get countries sharing boundary with this Persian Gulf. You may get question regarding this GCC. Okay, and the next you may get a simple based question like Strait of Hormuz is seen it recently in news. It is connecting A, B, C type of question. Or else you may get statement based questions. Consider the following statements regarding Strait of Hormuz, and they may give 2 to 3 statements, and they may ask you which of the above or right or incorrect. Okay, like that. This time Strait of Hormuz is very, very important. 100% sure in your 2026 prelims there will be a question regarding the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, now let us see this article. This article is saying that there are around 22 India bound ships that we have to evacuate. Why? Because out of these 22, 20 vessels, they are very important for our India's energy security, because they are carrying around 5 lakh tons of LPG and as well as LNG, and around 16.76 lakh tons of crude oil. Okay, now our government of India is joining hands with different agencies to bring them back so that we can ensure energy security in our country. Because already you know LPG crisis, how far it is and how impact it is showing on our commercial food sector. So because of this, we have to ensure the proper energy security. For that, our government is coming forward to do some evacuation related to these ships. Okay, now let us see here. As part of this, we discussed in our earlier classes that Government of India is sending certain ships as escort services like INS Shivalik, Nanda Devi, Jagladki. So like that, we are going to have some more kinds of ships can be incorporated for escort services now. Okay, let us see some facts regarding the Strait of Hormuz. It is a narrow waterway and it is present between Iran and as well as Arabian Peninsula, and it is sharing boundary with Iran and as well as UAE and as well as Oman. Very, very important point. And it is connecting Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman. And strait is a small water channel which will be connecting two big water bodies. Here Strait of Hormuz is connecting Gulf of Oman with Persian Gulf. Okay, and next here is, it is the only sea channel which is linking oil rich Persian countries. That means in this Gulf countries, especially GCC, in these countries, whatever the oil which is coming and as well as gas is coming, that will be transported through this route itself. And Iran is located on the north coast and UAE is located in the south coast. Very important point. And if you see the narrowest point of the Strait of Hormuz, it is around 29 nautical miles. It is around 54 kilometers itself. And here in the Strait of Hormuz also we have certain islands. So you may get questioned this way, which of the following islands are present in the Strait of Hormuz? Please make a note. Those are three. First one is Hengam, Hormuz, Kishim. Kishim, Hormuz, Hengam. So these are the three important islands which are present in the Strait of Hormuz. And if you see what is significance, the significance you may get a mains based question from this significance of the Strait of Hormuz. First important point here is Strait of Hormuz is considered as one of the world's most economically important choke points. Choke points are nothing but these are the points through which international trade happens, and if something wrong happens in this area, then it will be affecting the global economy. So one such a choke point here is Strait of Malacca. Next one is Strait of Hormuz, Bab el Mandab. So here this Strait of Hormuz is economically important choke point, and about 30% of world's liquefied gas and 25% of oil passes through this Strait of Hormuz. And the Strait of Hormuz serves as a key passage for super tankers. These tankers are transporting oil and as well as gas from Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, Qatar, Bahrain, UAE and Iran. And most of this energy flows to Asian markets. And you know that even China is dependent around 90% of its crude oil imports on this Iran itself. So if something wrong happens in this region, it will be affecting this Asian countries the most. Okay, now let us see next article. Look at the title. Cabinet okays 33,660 crore Bhavya plan for 100 industrial parks by 2032. So you may get question in this way. Recently, Bhavya is Siri news. It is related to ABCD options will be like that: industrial parks, semiconductors, food processing industries, aircraft industries. So like that, you may get a simple question. The second type of question you may get is consider the following statements regarding Bhavya. And they'll be giving you like 2 to 3 statements and they may ask you which of the above are correct or incorrect. So in that way also you may get a question. Okay, now let us see this context. Our Union Cabinet approved Bhavya, full form is Bharat Adyogik Vikas Yojana. And they allocated so and so amount of money, but that money is not necessary to be remembered. Okay, and the important aim of this scheme, it is to create industrial parks, and this industrial parks will be integrated with our PM Gati Shakti program. So that what happens? So we are creating these industrial parks, not only parks, and we are improving infrastructure like multimodal connectivity, and even we are focusing on last mile access as well. Okay, these parks will set new benchmarks in our industrial infrastructure now, because we are focusing on reliability, we are focusing on reducing of inefficiency, that means increasing of efficiency of these industries and also enhancing productivity. And here each and every industrial park will be having a minimum area of around 100 acres, and it may go to maximum of 1000 acres. And this program is going to be launched by both, it is a centrally sponsored scheme, not sector scheme, centrally sponsored scheme, so that the fund will be shared between central government and state government. But how much? Central government will be providing funds of around 1 crore rupees for 1 acre of this project, and remaining amount will be shared with the state. Okay, and which kind of infrastructure they want to develop? They want to develop core infrastructure, which includes internal roads, which includes underground facilities, drainage system, proper treatment facilities, and upgradation of information communication technology, that is ICTs. And this one is they want to improve overall administrative systems as well. So all these are the core infrastructure that they want to develop in these industrial parks. And which is the implementing authority? Very important. We have National Industrial Corridor Development Corporation. So this NICDC is the implementing authority, which comes under Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. So under this we have this, and this is gonna implement this industrial parks. And the duration of this scheme will be like around 6 years. By the 6 years in this phase 1, they are trying to develop around 50 industrial parks. These are the very, very important facts that you have to know, guys. And now let us see the next article. Look at the title. CCI gets rupees 1719 crore to pay support price. So here you have to know certain things. Support price is nothing but they are talking about MSP, minimum support price. So here you have to know the basics of this minimum support price. What is this minimum support price? Who will recommend this, and who will announce this? On what basis they will decide this MSP? Very important. And second one, it is talking about cotton, right? So you have to see about basic facts regarding cotton, like what are the geographical conditions, which states. Okay, and next you have to see about CCI. So many a times the question can be asked regarding the boards. Last year they asked about turmeric. Before that they asked about coffee board, tea board, rubber board. So like that, regarding the controlling of cotton, we have one authority, and you have to know about what is a CCI. And next you have to see about from mains point of view, what are the initiatives taken by the government to improve this production of cotton in our country. So all these things will be very important. You have to see this. Okay, now let us see the context. This article is saying that Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs approved a fresh minimum support price funding for the CCI, that is nothing but Cotton Corporation of India. For this Cotton Corporation of India, they approved some amount so that they are going to give this MSP for this cotton farmers. So because of this, it is in news. Okay, if you see about this cotton, cotton is a kharif crop. Normally, how many seasons we have? 3. Kharif, Rabi, Ziyad. Right. Many a times UPSC asked question this way. Consider the following crops. Which of the above are belonging to this kharif crops or Ziyad crops or Rabi crops? Okay, here you have to remember this. Cotton is a kharif crop. Very, very important. And it is a cash crop. Okay, here you have to make a note on the list of cash crops which will be grown in Rabi season, cash crops which will be grown in Kharif season. On this area also UPSC can ask you a question. Okay, and this cotton is also called as white gold because of its high economic value. Because entire our textiles is dependent on this cotton. Without this cotton, we cannot produce normally the goods belonging to this textiles. So because of this high economic value, it is called as white gold. And the climate that we require to grow this cotton is around 21 to 30 degrees centigrade of temperature. And we need for sure, remember this number, 210 frost free days. If frost is there, means it will be destroying the cotton, because cotton will be absorbing this moisture that will become losses. And around 50 to 100 centimeters of rainfall is necessary. And soil types, in which soil types we can grow this? Regular soil, it is nothing but it is a black cotton soil. And next, this black cotton soil is mostly seen in this Deccan Plateau. But apart from this Deccan Plateau, also in some areas, if they are having this alluvial soil, red soil and laterite soil, also we can grow this cotton. And if you say about this cotton production in our country, India is the largest producer of cotton, and it contributes around 23 to 25% of our global cotton output. So here across our globe, so different countries will produce cotton, but India alone is producing 23 to 25% of cotton which is produced in the globe, in our globe or in our planet Earth. And this one here is India has largest area of cotton under cultivation as well. Very important that point as well. And next you have to see the states. Maharashtra is the leading state of producing this cotton. But in terms of productivity, Gujarat is the highest. And next one here is we have around 4 species of cotton. Very, very important. Because last year they asked about the species of turmeric in your paper. So here regarding this cotton we have 4 species. What are the first one is Gossypium arboreum, Gossypium herbaceum, Gossypium barbadans, Gossypium hirsutum. So these are the 4 species of cotton. And this one here is if you want to add an update related to science and technology, yes, we are also using this GM modified cotton for cultivation as well. Why we made this GM is nothing but to prevent or to resist this bollworm infestation, because these bollworms, they will feed on these flower buds, and as well as after fertilization we can say small buds will be coming outside. So on this bud they will feed. So because of this what happened, there will be decreasing of productivity agriculture, especially the decreased cotton. Okay. And if you say the government initiatives, very important. The first one here is Mission for Cotton Productivity, and this was launched by our union government itself. Why? To boost our productivity of cotton by using technology. And we are focusing on pest resistant varieties, and especially government is focusing on extra long staple. That is nothing but stable is nothing but fiber. So here if the fiber of this cotton is long, the price is more and productivity is more. If this fiber length is small, means obviously the cost will be less and the quality will be low. So here government is focusing on extra long staple cotton. And government came up with one initiative called as Kasturi Cotton Board, Bharat. And in this Kasturi Cotton Bharat, it is a joint initiative of Ministry of Textiles along with that CCI and Texprocil. And they are focusing on making Indian cotton a brand. Okay. So for that, they are using blockchain and as well as QR based traceability, and they are tracing like cotton of India is going to which country and what is the demand. Okay, like that. And they want to make Indian cotton a global brand. The next one is digital integration. For this, Cot Alley app is monitoring MSP rates, procurement centers, and as well as best practices. And even we have one more app, please make a note, Kapas Kisan app, which is focusing on cotton procurement. So these are some important things that you have to remember, guys. And next article, it is about coconut promotion scheme. Very, very important. Because this year coconut is seen highly in news because of this root wilt disease, and there is decreased production of coconut in southern states. Because of this, we are extending this to other states as well, which are not traditionally growing this coconut. And government is focusing on especially promotion of this coconuts. So for that, Government of India came up with this coconut promotion scheme. And in our union budget 2026 to 2027, they came up with this coconut promotion scheme. What this scheme is about? We have to increase production and as well as productivity of this coconuts in our country. And you have to see the facts. This scheme is a central sector scheme. That means 100% of funds will be provided by central government itself. And we have a board called as Coconut Development Board. And it's a statutory body. It is present in Kochi, Kerala, and this body will be implementing that scheme. So what they're going to do in this scheme, they have to remove all these old, senile and diseased palms, and we have to replace them with a new one, and this new one should have high yielding capacity. and they should be early bearing. That means normally coconuts will be flowering after so and so years, like it will be like more than 5 to 6 years, right? But this early bearing is nothing but within 2 to 3 years they have to bear the fruits. Okay, next one is climate resilient saplings, and they're also focusing on increasing of technology also. How we can increase technology or use this technology? We can create some AI related things or weather forecasting for the farmers, and especially if there is any threat of any pest, so they need to get the alerts regarding what can be done so that we can increase the productivity. And if you see about the India's coconut production, India is the largest producer, and it promotes, or it is accounting for around 30% of global production of coconut. And next, cultivation area is like 2.16 million hectares. Okay, livelihood support, it is employing around 30 million people. And major states which are producing this coconut are southern states, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and AP. So these 4 states will produce over 90% of the total coconut production in our country. Okay, now let us see next article. Look at the title. Inclusion of breakfast in PM Poshan. Very, very important, guys. And every year in UPSC, you may get at least minimum 3 questions related to schemes. And you have to focus on this area for sure, guys. You may get question in this way. Consider the following statements regarding this so-and-so scheme, and they will be giving you statements. And second type of question is, they will be giving you in a pair-based form. Like on one column, they will be giving you the schemes, and one column, they will be giving you the ministries or what is that scheme is about. And they may ask you to identify correct or incorrect pairs. So you have to be very much careful, okay? And regarding mains, you will be getting questions regarding challenges. Is that scheme is successful or not? Okay, like that. You will be getting analysis-based questions in your mains. Okay, context says that Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education. So here, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Education recommended to introduce breakfast under PM Poshan. Why we have to include this breakfast? One important reason here is, in children there is stunting. In children there is a problem of malnourishment. To overcome this malnourishment and stunting among children, yes, this Parliamentary Standing Committee recommended for this inclusion of breakfast. So if you see what are the recommendations of this committee exactly, the first one is breakfast inclusion, because now we are in the summer season and especially schools, they started with this half days. That means only morning session they will be having school, afternoon session they won't have school. So if there is no afternoon session of school, will children stay in the school? Mostly no. So because of this, they will be skipping the meals under this midday meal program. So because of this, to ensure nutrition, we want to include this at least light breakfast in the schools. And this one is average expansion. This article is saying that nowadays this PM Poshan is providing a midday meals program for the children who are around 7th or 8th class in the government schools. Now the scheme is saying that we have to extend it to 10th class, and even if possible in the next 5 years, we have to extend it to even 12th class. Second recommendation. And third one is, yes, if you want to include breakfast also, means overall the cost will be increased. So because of this, we have to sit and talk. Central government and state government has to sit and talk regarding this expenditure. And next one is, they have to revise the cost also. Okay, because year on year the prices of the goods will be increasing because of inflation. We have to adjust this cost price of that meal or the breakfast based on the inflation. So these are the 4 important recommendations given by this Standing Committee on Education. And next, let us see some facts regarding this PM Poshan. It is also known as Midday Meals Program, and this scheme had been renamed as PM Poshan in year 2021. So what is the meaning of PM Poshan? PM is Pradhana Mantri Poshan Shakti Nirman is the full form of that scheme. And it promotes under which ministry? Ministry of Education. It is a centrally sponsored scheme, and government is providing meals up to class 8th in government schools. And why the scheme? To address the problem of hunger, lack of adequate food intake in the children, Educational outcomes we have to improve. So if you are providing food, at least for food, parents will be sending the children so that we can increase attendance, we can increase literacy, and as well as retention power, learning, everything in the school children, guys. Okay, now let us see the next article. So here there is one image. So this image shows that women had been get dressed in a traditional attire, right? So this image showcasing about Gudi Padwa. Okay, very, very important festival. Yesterday we celebrated Ugadi, right? So in some states this Ugadi is called as Gudi Padwa. In some states it is called as Ugadi. Now let us see some facts. Okay, this is entirely facts. You have to remember this. You may get a question in this way. Consider the following statements regarding Gudi Padwa, and they'll give you the statements and you have to remember that. So first one here is people of Telangana, AP and Karnataka, they call this festival as Ugadi. The people of Maharashtra and Goa, they call it as Gudi Padwa. Okay, so the common practice in these two festivals here is they will prepare the food items or delicious food, which is a combination of sweet and bitter. And next one here is they will use jaggery, neem, okay, and they will make this special item called as Ugadi Pachadi, which is like the mixture of 6 important things, right? Gudi means normally Gudi is a doll which is prepared in Maharashtrian homes by using the traditional things, and they will place that doll in the home or outside the home or in the window so that everyone will be seeing that, and that is the one thing they will do. And in Ugadi, normally in these Telugu states, they will decor the homes with this mango leaves decoration, Toranalu or Torana in Kannada. Okay, let us see next article, guys. Title says AI powered tax governance in India and its challenges. So as you all know that government will be imposing tax, and we have direct and as well as indirect tax. Direct tax is a progressive tax, indirect tax is a regressive tax. So based on your income, based on your profits, the government will be imposing tax on you that comes under direct tax. Indirect tax is something which is not related to your income. Whatever the socio-economic conditions you are in, you have to pay that tax. That is indirect tax. So now here we are going to use AI and as well as machine learning. Okay, because of this, what happens? Now we have to come up with the proper governance related to this as well. So if you see this article, it is saying that we need to come up with a key tax policy change. Okay, why? Because compared to that of GDP that we are getting, compared to that of tax paid, it is mismatching in our country. So India's tax to GDP ratio is just 16.36%, and this is very, very low among emerging and developing economies. So here the problem in India is tax evasion. People are not paying tax. Around 4.3% of loss of tax revenues are happening in India because of tax evasion. And even at this India AI Impact Summit, which happened in this 2026, so we are focusing on using of AI to resolve this kind of problems. So because of this, if you want to apply this AI in this revenue mobilization tax governance, we have to come up with this governance system. That is about this article, guys. Okay, now let us see here. So here governance related to this AI, like even in direct tax also, and even in indirect tax also, if we want to collect more and more taxes, so we need to have a proper governance. Who will be making that? Central Board of Direct Taxes, and we have Central Board of Indirect Taxes. So they are focusing on using of AI to reduce this tax evasion in our country. So what are the key initiatives of this AI administration? First one is already Government of India launched a project called as Project Insight. It is a direct tax related mechanism in 2017 itself. They came up with using of big data and AI to track high value transactions, and they are detecting tax evasion in this direct tax or not. And next one here is we have indirect tax related advancement, that is Advait. Advait, it is focusing on analytical suits for GST, and it is going to provide 360 degrees analysis for the view of business transaction. They are focusing on supply chains and trade flows as well. And as far as they are focusing on faceless assessment and appeals, AI is minimizing human discretion in tax assessment, and even they are trying to reduce this corruption as well. And as far as we have a Ask IT chatbot, so here this is an AI powered visual assistant launched by this income tax department. If the people who are paying the taxes, if they are having any queries, they can ask their queries in this Ask IT chatbot. And this one is we have Project Satya. In this Project Satya, it is a AI-based tool developed by DRDO, and it is analyzing digital footprints like call data, app storage, and so that it can map digital trails of suspended tax evaders. And even we have a new income tax bill 2025, and it is going to be come into existence or implemented from April 1st onwards from this 2026. So it will also include virtual digital spaces like social media apps within the ambit of tax searches as well. And what are the challenges if you are using this AI? First important challenge here is right to privacy come into picture. And as well as we have issue of security. Security issues are there. And next one here is algorithmic bias is also one important challenge that we are going to face. And this one is, do we have that kind of technology, or how we are managing them, and do we have to train the people accordingly or not? All this will be a problem now. Next article here is new GDP series chart in the path ahead. So already we discussed about this topic regarding this new GDP series, and we are going to change the base here, and even I said about certain changes that we are going to come up. So please check your class notes once and revise that once. Let us see the prelims practice questions. The first one is, consider the following statements about Bharat Adyog Vikas Yojana, that is Bhavya. First one, it was approved by Union Cabinet in March 2026 with an outlay of so and so amount. Second one is, the scheme aims to develop 100 plug-and-play industrial parks with ready infrastructure, targeting generation of around 15 lakh direct jobs. Next one is, it is implemented solely by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare to promote rural agro-based industries. So in all these three statements, which is right? Please let me know. And next one is, which of the following powers belong exclusively to Lok Sabha? First one, passing no confidence motion. Second one, impeachment of president. And third one is ratification of emergency. And you have to select the correct answer. So these are the important topics that appear in our newspaper, guys. So by this I'm concluding.